Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. This is Champion 2D Rob back again, and this time I'm doing another pickups vid, but it's all going to be movies, cartoons, anime, vinyl, stuff like that. I haven't done one of these pickups in a long while now, and admittedly a lot of this stuff was bought months ago. In some cases was even bought last year, so it's kind of a backlog. Some of them, I mean, some of them are recent pickups as well, so it's kind of a combination of sort of stuff I picked up at some point last year, I can't even remember when, and stuff I've picked up recently as well. So let's just dive straight into it, guys, because I'm always conscious of not trying to make the videos too long, so let's get right into it. A couple of things I bought here. These are vinyl, really cool vinyl actually. Just the soundtracks to animes from the past, stuff that I grew up with and absolutely adore. And when I saw these come up, and I should know, I don't even have a vinyl player. Like I can't play any records. I don't have the means to. But these soundtracks, you know, or just to these animes, was just like, I don't see any sort of merch to these animes, so I thought I would just pick them up because I just really enjoy the artwork to them. And the first one I have here is 3x3 Eyes, or 3x3 Eyes, Legend of the Divine Demon. So I should explain that back in the day, back in the early 90s, I was a big fan of 3x3 Eyes. Love the anime. I've got the whole set on VHS, and I even went and overpaid for the DVD set as well, because they're quite hard to find. I'm hoping that they will reissue the series on Blu-ray, because I absolutely adore this series, and this was just such a nice thing to have of the score. Although this is from the last 3 acts of the anime, because basically the first 2 acts were actually made, I think they were made like in the 80s, sort of late 80s, and there was a bit of a gap in time until they made sort of parts 3, 4 and 5. So this is the soundtrack to parts 3, 4 and 5. I can tell automatically just by the artwork, because they sort of redesigned the characters a little bit, and also this girl, she doesn't show up until the final 2 episodes. So yeah, really chuffed to have this actually. I just don't see any merch of 3x3 Eyes, so I thought I would pick that up. And also at the same time, they also had this. They had more anime as well, anime soundtracks, but I had to limit myself, so I decided just to get these 2. And the next one I got here was Devilman, the Demon Bird. Man, I loved Devilman, the original 2 OVAs that came out back in the early 90s. I absolutely adore them. I even have it on Blu-ray that I had to import from America. And this isn't really much of a soundtrack. I mean, really, we've only got 3 tracks on here, and from what I've heard on YouTube, they're not very long either, so probably not worth the asking price. But again, I bought it specifically just for the artwork. I'm probably going to frame these at some point. That's really what I want them for. I just want to frame them because I just don't see much merch of these animes, so it's just sort of nice to have, really. So yeah, really happy with those. They also had soundtracks to Wicked City. I remember, I think they had Demon City Shinjuku, aka Monster City. I think they had those, but I just decided to stick with these 2 just because they're a little bit more obscure. They've neither one has been given a Blu-ray release in this country. Devilman did get a Blu-ray release, luckily, in the US, but 3x3 Eyes is still yet to get a Blu-ray release, hopefully one day. But yeah, really chuffed with those. Okay, I think before we move on to the Blu-rays, I think we'll start with a few books. First one is a comic. Now this is actually a very recent pickup. I've been meaning to read this trade for years. It's always interested me. I don't know why I held off so long, but I saw they reissued it and it was going for a good price, so I thought I'd pick it up. And that is the Marvel Zombies. So yeah, definitely wanted to read this. Really cool just to sort of see Marvel's take on the zombie genre. And I was watching the CGI animated series they had on Disney Plus. It was called What If? And one of the episodes was set in the world of Marvel Zombies, and it was actually really good. And they actually announced they're actually going to do a Marvel Zombies TV series, so I'm really excited to see that. It's going to be animated, but if it's anything like that one episode, I'm going to be really happy to watch because it was really cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to giving this a read. And the next few books, so these are all gaming related, so I also picked up Hardcore Gaming 101's books on shoot 'em ups. So I have here volume 1 and of course volume 2 as well. Yeah, just like really interested me, these books. Covers basically most of the shoot 'em ups from the early days, I think, right up to now. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. I just want to read up on stuff on R-Type, Hyperdual. You know, I mean, it's got here this one. So this is volume 2. It's got ones on Xevious, Dragon Spirit, Phelios, Twin Cobra, Truxton, Zero Wing, Batsugan, Sorcerer Striker, Terra Diver, Battle Garega, Samurai Aces, Strikers 1945, Gunbird, Troubleshooter, Gaiaris, Phalanx, and many more. And the volume 1, it covers R-Type, Thunder Force, Zanak, Musha, the Guardian Legend, Star Soldier, Gley Lancer, Lords of Thunder, Razanba, Cotton, Steel Empire, X Multiply, Image Fight, and Rekka, and of course many more. So a lot of stuff that interests me, especially since I'm currently sort of picking up for the Saturn, and quite a few of these games are on the Saturn as well, so it does interest me to read up on those books. So yeah, really chuffed I pulled the trigger on those. And of course I have shown this before, but I'll show it again here, and that is of course the Go Straight book, the book on beat 'em ups. Definitely a must own, guys, if you love your side scrolling beat 'em ups. This is probably the book to get from Bitmap Books. Awesome, really chuffed to have this. Yeah, definitely recommended. Need to have this if you have a inkling into side scrolling beat 'em ups. Alright, now so we're going to move on to the Blu-rays. Let's start with some odd ones here first. Let's see here. Let's get these in some order. We'll start with this. The very first one here I picked up, and that is Once Upon a Time in Deadpool. So basically what this is, if you don't know, this is the sequel film, Deadpool 2, that was sort of recut and re-edited to be sort of PG-13. Now, while that may not sound very appealing, obviously sort of like a cut down version of the original film, the reason why I wanted to pick this up was because they actually filmed extra scenes with the actor Fred Savage. For those of you that may not know, may not remember, Fred Savage was the main actor of The Wonder Years, the movie The Wizard, and a lot of films from the 80s and stuff, including Princess Bride. And essentially they filmed scenes with him, basically sort of mimicking the character he played when he was a kid in The Princess Bride, and it's sort of like Deadpool sort of reading him the story of the film. And it's basically played for laughs, obviously, because it's sort of like a send up of the scenes from the Princess Bride, but sort of about the sequel to Deadpool. So that's the reason why I picked this up, was just for those extra scenes that you just don't get in the original cut of the film. So it's a nice sort of like side piece to watch. I mean, it's basically the film, but it's sort of broken up by these sort of little segments, and I just thought it was a neat little piece to have. And here I've got the Blu-ray collection set of The Batman. So this was the Batman show that came out in the 2000s, sort of like in the mid 2000s. Now, this was a show that basically replaced the whole sort of Tim universe. So, starting with Batman the Animated Series and basically ending with Justice League Unlimited. So this was the new Batman show that sort of carried on from that. And when this show first came out, I actually hated it. Like, I didn't like their take of the Joker, which I still don't really like their take on the Joker, to be perfectly honest. But the show itself is actually really good, and I started sort of hate watching it back in the day. But I quickly found it was actually a really good show in its own right. And when they announced that we were going to release the collection on Blu-ray, I actually started picking it up on DVD because I didn't think it was going to get a Blu-ray release. I actually bought the first volume on DVD, and then they announced this, so that was kind of annoying. But still, glad I didn't get the other volumes. But it's nice to have the whole set on Blu-ray. It lasted for 5 seasons, and I think it's a really good show. Actually, it's probably my second favorite take on Batman in animation, aside from sort of the original Batman animated series run. But yeah, really cool show. The next few films I've got here, let's see. Yeah, so here's one. I can't believe I actually bought this ages ago and I haven't got around to watching it. I might watch it tonight actually. And this is a German Blu-ray import. It is in English, of course, but it's the only way you can get it on Blu-ray at the moment, and that is Gate 2. So this is the sequel to The Gate, a cult film from the very early 90s. I think it was late 80s. It's late 80s, and that originally starred Stephen Dorff. And this is the follow-up. I've actually never seen this film before. I grew up with the original, but never saw the sequel. And I've had it for a while yet, and I've not gotten around to watching it. So I'll definitely stick this on tonight. But yeah, really chuffed to get this because I've actually heard, from what I've heard of this film, it's actually pretty good. So I'm looking forward to giving it a watch. Next couple of films here I've got is of course Train to Busan. Love this film. This is a Korean zombie horror flick set on a train. Absolutely awesome, guys. Well worth a watch if you've not seen it already. Fantastic film, honestly. The Koreans know how to do zombie horror, and yeah, really chuffed to get this. And of course, this is sort of like the spin-off, but in animated form. So it's like an animated prequel, and that's Seoul Station. Don't sleep on this, guys. It is fantastic. It is an animated film, and it's as gory, and it delivers on the zombie action that you would want. Really cool story as well. Definitely worth a watch. I will say this is worth adding along with Train to Busan. They go hand in hand. So definitely give Seoul Station a watch as well. And keeping up with the zombie themes, I also picked up George Romero's Land of the Dead. This is a 2-disc set. Now, I actually already owned Land of the Dead on Blu-ray. I had it as part of a double pack with Dawn of the Dead remake. But I picked this up for a couple of reasons. One, this is a double discer. It's got loads of special features, whereas the other one I had was basically a vanilla disc. And I love the new artwork they commissioned for the cover of this as well. And I have to say, Land of the Dead, I actually think is a very, very overlooked and misunderstood film. I think it got unfairly hated on. This came out, I think it was in 2004. I saw it at the cinema and I loved it. I don't think it's as good as Romero's earlier works, but it's definitely better than his later works. And I think it's unfairly maligned. I think was it probably a decade too late? Maybe, but I still find a lot of enjoyment in this film. Yeah, it's of all the good Romero zombie flicks. It's probably my least favorite. Maybe, but my favorite, of course, is actually Day of the Dead, and my second favorite is Dawn of the Dead, And then I sort of struggle whether to put this one ahead of the original or not. I know that might sound a bit blasphemous, but I think the original, as groundbreaking as it was at the time, I do think it's kind of aged a bit, and it doesn't quite hold up. I actually prefer the remake to Night of the Living Dead. But actually, I was watching it again not too long ago. It's still a very good film. But I don't know. I sort of hold this one and that one sort of on the same sort of level. But this is a really good film, though. I really did enjoy it. Okay, next film I've got here, actually. This is right underneath. Again, this is a very recent pickup. I was glad to get this on Blu-ray. This is an upgrade, and that is The Faculty. Really cool teen horror film, sort of centered around the body snatchers. I really dug this film. Wait, actually, speaking of, I've got another one here. Yeah, I really dug this film back when it came out in the late 90s. A great early film from Robert Rodriguez. Doesn't really get talked about much now, but I think it's a really fun sort of teen horror film. And I love the whole sort of body snatchers concept as a horror film. I've watched all of them. Of course, there's the original. Then there was the remake that was with Donald Sutherland in the 70s. There was another movie in the early 90s. There was this one in the late 90s, and then there was another one with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. I think it was called The Invasion, which a lot of people didn't like. I've only watched that one once, but I remember actually quite enjoying it. But it's been a while though. I don't really remember that much. But this is a really good one. I watched it the other night actually, and a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, this is actually a very underrated horror film. Definitely check it out, guys. And sticking with body snatchers, I also picked up Body Snatchers. The Invasion Continues. I don't really know why they had that tagline, because it's basically a standalone story. It does not follow on from the 70s Donald Sutherland film, but this was the one that came out in the early 90s. And this is the one that I grew up with. This is the one that I watched as a kid and really dug. I really enjoyed this one. It's basically, it's one of those films again that at the time wasn't sort of looked at with much favour, but it sort of gained a bit of a cult following. I really dig it. But again, nostalgia is a powerful thing, you know. So I watched it as a kid, so I'll always hold fond memories for this film. But when I saw it got a Blu-ray release, I had to jump on it. So yeah, really cool one to have. Definitely check out Body Snatchers. It came out, I believe it came out in 93, I think. But yeah, I just remember really liking this film. But of course I've seen it. I still like it. I think it's aged a little bit. It didn't quite hold the same level of impact watching it now as an adult, but I still really enjoy it though. It's a really cool film. Okay, next up we have, let's go through some anime. And I've got one Blu-ray and one DVD. Start with the DVD. Now, this is one again I watched back in the early 90s. It's a very cool one. Not that best. I mean, I didn't really love it as a kid, but I just kind of like it for its sort of exploitative B-movie nature to it, and that is of course Violence Jack, the collection. So this doesn't have a Blu-ray release in this country. There is a Blu-ray release available on in the US, but I couldn't really be bothered to get it on Blu-ray just because the animation itself is very budget animation, so I don't think it would look that great on Blu-ray, so it's not probably worth the extra price on it. But basically what Violence Jack is, it's basically three sort of separate stories. So it's three OVAs, each one's about 40 minutes each, and they're sort of loosely connected by this character called Violence Jack, who is a very mysterious, gigantic figure, and it's sort of set in a post-apocalyptic world. And as you expect, like, you know, the men are portrayed as like savage beasts, you know, that just are horny as hell, want to rape all the women, and it's really the women that kind of have to like defend themselves, and of course Violence Jack comes into it, and he's basically sort of like they don't really go into his backstory. We don't really know much about Violence Jack, but he's basically kind of like some sort of avenging spirit guy who sort of like puts evildoers in their place, basically. He's sort of portrayed more as less of a character and more of a force of nature. But it's a really sort of its time anime, and it's from Go Nagai, who actually did the Devilman series. But it's definitely worth a watch if you can pick it up on DVD. It did get a UK DVD release, although this is actually pretty pricey now. I mean, it goes for about 15 to 20 quid now on DVD. But I wanted to watch it again, so glad to have picked that up. And next one I got here, now this is actually a Blu-ray import that I imported from America, but it is region free. It does play on UK players, and that is Urotsu Doji, the Legend of the Over Fiend. Now, first thing you're going to notice is that like I've got the sort of insert out of the case, and that's because unfortunately I ordered this from Amazon US, and they decided to put it in a flimsy little oversized padded bag, and the spine got crushed, and the DVD case got damaged, and unfortunately also damaged the insert as well. It tore it all up. So I'm sort of keeping it outside of its case because I don't want it damaged any further, and I want to get a replacement case. But it's a real shame, and it's not the first time this has happened, as you're going to find out in a moment. But I couldn't be bothered to return it. It's Amazon US, can't be asked. But in any case, this is awesome quality. This is Legend of the Overfiend. Again, everyone that was watching anime back in the 90s knows about Legend of the Overfiend. It borderlined on hentai. It's not quite hentai, but it borderlined on it. It's a supernatural action show with some grotesque and exploitative elements. What's really cool about the Blu-ray version is it's actually uncut compared to the original VHS releases that we had back in the day. Our versions that we had back in the 90s were massively cut. So these are uncut, and it's just sort of great to get the original stories on Blu-ray, and it looks fantastic on Blu-ray as well. So it's a shame about the box itself. It really annoyed the fuck out of me, but aside from that though, the film itself looks great. Once I put this in a replacement case, it won't look as bad as this. But chuffed to get this one. Okay, what else? We'll go to some animated stuff, and then my remaining Blu-rays. So so I picked up. Actually, no. Before we get into that, I got one Blu-ray set here, really cool one to show. I bought this back at Christmas time. I think just before Christmas. The price dropped on there a little bit. It was really holding its price. It was still expensive, but it dropped enough to the point where I was willing to pick it up. And that is Monkey, the complete series. I loved watching Monkey back in the day as a kid. It used to be on TV back in the 80s. I think it was on a Sunday around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Loved watching it, so it's very cool to have the entire run on it, including a lot of the episodes that were not originally aired in the UK. They're all on here, and I can't wait to go through this. I've watched a bit of it already, but I need to sort of go through the whole show. I've always been a fan of the Chinese story Journey to the West, and this is probably my favourite adaptation of it. There are a few other adaptations that I do enjoy, but this is definitely my favourite. I really like their take on Monkey himself. In fact, he's the standard to me. Like I always compare the other versions of Monkey to this version, and they never quite live up the other versions. I just like this version better. It's just my favourite one. So really chuffed to have this, and yeah, great one to have. Okay, so moving on to some animated retro goodness here. So first thing I picked up here, actually I'll go with this one, and I've got here the Thundercats complete series collection. Now some of you might say, Rob, don't you have the complete set already? I'm pretty sure you do, and you're absolutely right, guys. I do have the complete set already on DVD. But this is sort of like the second print runs where they sort of released it in a plastic case. And the reason why I rebought it was because my one had a couple of episodes that were a little bit dodgy. The picture quality on them was not very good. So I decided to take a chance to see if they would improve the discs or if this was just a repackaging. But fortunately, the episodes are fully working in this one. So I was really chuffed to get this, and it wasn't expensive either. This was less than 20 quid for the entire run. So really chuffed to get this because Thundercats means a lot to me. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. I was a really big fan of Thundercats. I've got to say though, as an adult, it doesn't quite hold up. The episodes that I remember vividly as a kid, I can still watch them without any issues. But sort of the other episodes, you know, I sort of find their flaws in them a lot more. But I still enjoy it though. It's still a very fun show for kids. But watching it now and as an adult, obviously a lot of the errors in the storytelling are more evident. But still, glad to finally get this with the episodes that are fully working as well. So chuffed to get that. Let's move this over here. Okay, next one I've got here, and this is one that I was not sure I was going to pick up, but then it dropped to a £5. It's £5. So as soon as I saw it for £5 on Amazon, I just snapped it up basically, and that is Gemini holograms. So yeah, it's the complete series, and I thought for a £5, brand new and sealed, I'll have that all day, every day. Yeah, this was a show that obviously was aimed at girls, basically. I remember watching the odd episode as a kid. I never really followed it, but I did watch a few episodes of this as a kid, and it's of its time. It's very much in the vein of sort of animation style of what was going on at that particular point in time. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool one to have because even though I never really watched it much as a kid, I did watch the odd episode, and it was during that era of cartoons that I loved. So I thought, you know, for £5, I thought that was worth getting. And the next box set here I've got is, and I don't know why I held off from getting this for so long, but finally got around to picking it up, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the complete run. So this has got the all 10 seasons of the late 80s, early 90s Turtles run. Unfortunately, you can just about see it here, but it was also a victim of crushing. Thank you, Amazon, for your amazing packaging. But yeah, unfortunately, importing it from America is really the only way to watch the full run. There was an official DVD release that did come out in the UK, but unfortunately, it's not the whole thing. It's just sort of odd episodes, which I thought was kind of stupid. But it's nice to get like the entire run of Turtles, the one that I grew up with back in the day. You know, like a lot of kids my age, you know, I was definitely big into the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as it was referred to back then. But yeah, really chuffed to finally get this one in the collection of my animated stuff from my childhood. So yeah. And the last one here, and again, I don't know why I held off from picking this up, but just chuffed to have it now, and that is Jason the Wheeled Warriors, the complete series. Unfortunately, this only ran for one season. But that being said, I think it ran for 65 episodes, I believe. And The only bad thing about this show, and probably a lot of people won't remember this, is that they actually never finished the story. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger, unfortunately. I think it got cancelled, or they ran out of funding, and they weren't able to get any more funding to complete the whole thing. But they managed to make, I think it was about 60 episodes or so. So I'm just trying to find here if it says how many episodes. It doesn't quite say, but I know it had that one full season. It's just unfortunately they never finished the story. But again, like a lot of people at my age would have watched Jason the World Warriors. It's got an amazing intro. The theme song to this animated series is fantastic, and it was a show that I used to watch back in the day as well. So chuffed to get the series of that. And finally, guys, I have got here a little stack of Blu-rays, all kung fu films, stuff that I watched as a kid and decided to get on Blu-ray. Some of them are upgrades, and others are just bought for the first time. So, starting with this one now, when they announced this on Blu-ray, I had to pre-order it right away. I had this on DVD, so this is an upgrade. And it's my all-time favorite Sammo Hung film, and that is Encounter of the Spooky Kind. Love this film. I hadn't watched it in years actually. Prior to pre-ordering it, I hadn't watched my DVD copy in a very long time, but when I got this and I put it on, yeah, still as great as I remember it to be. Just a fantastic kung fu film with supernatural elements. Really dig this one. Definitely worth watching, guys. Yeah, Sammo Hung at his best. Next one I picked up here, and this is the Lucky Stars 3-film trilogy. And I've only actually ever seen some of these films in bits and pieces. I never owned them on DVD. I never owned them on VHS. So I only remember watching a few of them. I think when they were on TV or something. So it's been great. I've only watched the first one so far, and I kind of realised I'd never seen it before. It's really weird. So I sort of got them mixed up with a few other films. I think there was Wheels on Mills, and there's another one as well. I think it was Dragons Forever. I don't know why I always assumed they were part of this series, but they're not. So yeah, really fun films. Again, you've got Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao at their best, at their 80s best. So yeah, I've only seen the first one so far, so looking forward to checking the rest out. Next one I have here is, and this is a really cool one, and that is Jackie Chan's Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. So this was basically it wasn't his first movie, but it was like the first sort of Jackie Chan style movie, and this was the one that he did just before Drunken Master, and it's a great film. It's not quite as good as Drunken Master, but it is a great film, and it was the first of his team up with I forgot his name now, but he's basically the drunken teacher. Really cool guy. So really chuffed to get this one, as I never owned this on DVD, so chuffed to get that. Next one I have here, and this is quite a cool double pack, and that is Warriors 2 and Prodigal Son. Now I pre-ordered this because I wanted to upgrade my DVD copy of Prodigal Son. It is one of my favourite all-time kung fu films that starred Yuen Biao, and it also featured what was his name? Lam. Oh, so annoying. It really annoys the hell out of me. What's his name? Oh, and I can't. I think it was Lam something. I can't remember now. But he played the master, and Yuen Biao played like this cocky guy that believes he's an excellent martial artist, and then he realizes that his dad, who is like this rich man, was sort of paying fighters off to lose so that his son could save face. And it's a really cool film, and it's one of the ones that starred Yun Biao. You know, this the third member of that Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan trilogy of actors. And yeah, I just love the film. It's just a fantastic story, and really cool one. As far as Warriors 2 goes, I've never actually seen that one before, so that's going to be an interesting one to watch. But yeah, definitely check this out. Wicked value for money, in my opinion, getting this double pack. But Prodigal Son for me is just a fantastic kung fu film. So glad I've gotten that. And next up I have here, and this is an upgrade to my DVD set, and that is the Once Upon a Time trilogy. This is actually not a trilogy. This is actually 4 films. There is the Once Upon a Time 1, 2, and 3, and then there was also a 4th film which was called Once Upon a Time in China and America, where the character of Wong Fei Hung, played by Jet Li, travels to the US, and it's also featured in this set, which is really cool. Really cool set of films. My favourites are the first 2. I really like the first 2. For me are classics, and I think it was this series that introduced me to Donnie Yen. He appears in the sequel. He is the bad guy of the sequel, and he has a wicked fight with Jet Li. And yeah, love this series of films, so glad to get this. Next one I have here is Jackie Chan's Police Story 1 and 2. So this is both an upgrade and all new to me, because I had the first Police Story on DVD, but I didn't own the sequel. I have seen the sequel before. It's just really cool to have them in this double pack. Great films, great films of Jackie in his heyday. Yeah, just awesome. And I also recommend checking out the 3rd film in the series, which was called Super Cop, which also starred Michelle Yeoh. Which is it's less of a sequel and more of a spin-off that puts the heavy focus on Michelle Yeoh's character as opposed to Jackie Chan. But it's a really good film as well, so that one's definitely worth checking out. But yeah, tough to get that. And finally, I have here one of Jackie Chan's most highly rated films, and that is, of course, Armor of God. This is like the special edition. It comes with a booklet and postcards and stuff. And crazy to think, I've seen it now, but I've never seen this film before. I've seen the second one many times over, Operation Condor, but never seen the original film. So this one was a real cool one to watch for the first time. And yeah, it's an awesome film. It's basically a little bit of a mix of Indiana Jones with the usual Jackie Chan kung fu style shenanigans. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is it for today. I will be back soon, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of this stuff that I picked up. Have you seen any of this stuff? Have you seen the films? Have you seen the animes? Let me know what you think, guys. What are your memories of these films as well? I'd also like to hear that. So cheers for watching, guys. I do very much appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.